Thanks, Reedy.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Dawson County Board of Commissioners voting session. Today is Thursday, May 5th, 2022. Welcome to all those that are with us in attendance, as well as those that are with us online. We'll start out with a roll call. And you can see that we're all here. We do have three opening presentations tonight. First, we have ACCG GSI WCF check presentation, ACCG Marketing and Field Services Representative Joe Dan Thompson, and Human Resources Director Christy Finn. Come on up. We always like checks.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. I appreciate Christy inviting me up today. But on behalf of the ACCG Group Self-Insurance Workers' Compensation Fund Board of Trustees, I'm happy to present a check in the amount of $61,742, which is the county's share of a $6 million cash return. Dawson County is eligible to receive this money because of its continued participation in the ACCG Workers' Compensation Program. And the amount of the return is based on the county's pro rata share of the investable income from policy periods 2013, 14, and 15. Better than average income investment and claims allowed us to do this for the fifth time. So this is our fifth cash dividend since 2016. And I did some math this afternoon. Dawson County has received 5 cash dividends totaling $236,221. We can't promise it every year, but we hope to do it again in the future. And this is in addition to the standard dividend credit that the county receives every year at the renewal on the workers' compensation program. Just to give you a little bit of background, the program started in 1982. So we're entering our 40th year of providing workers' compensation coverage to Georgia counties. Dawson County joined December of 1982. So you guys have been with us a long time. Currently, the program has 169 members. We have 134 counties and 35 authorities. Over those many years, the fund has returned dividends to our members in excess of $109 million. And Dawson County's total dividend in history of the program is $1,038,734. I don't think you'll find too many insurance companies that give you money back.
No.
We appreciate your long-standing commitment to the program. And that's all my planned comments. If anyone has any questions, I'll be happy to address those.
Questions, comments? Well, we definitely appreciate all the work that you do and all the work that you do as well
Yes.
as part of that. And anytime we can get a check, we are happy.
Yeah, we've already spent 3 times that much tonight.
Get some of it back, though.
Yes, it'll help. It
So
will
I think
help.
this is picture opportunity from
Yes,
what I
sir.
understand. Let's go.
That's a good thing.
There we go. Okay, 1, 2, 2, 3.
Our next opening presentation is Development Authority of Dawson County Quarterly Update. Chairman Brian Trapman.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for the opportunity to be with you. It's been a couple of years since I've had a chance to come back and visit with you, so it's a pleasure to be with you again. Big shoes to fill following our former chairman, Tony Passarello, but thankfully he's here this evening to catch me if I fall down. Commissioner Dooley.
He's taking.
Oh, he's
notes.
going to move. He's going to move. Is that what if I fall, he's going to
He's
move? Is that what he's saying?
He's taking notes. It's gonna be bad.
Commissioner Dooley, pleased to meet you and look forward to working with you, sir. We'll just dive into the deck that hopefully you have in front of you. It is fairly data heavy, so I will just fly over the deck itself. But as always, please chime in with questions. Welcome any concerns or issues that pop up. I'd love to have that dialogue as we go through this evening, or obviously as we go forward together. Well, oh, thank you for letting that not be user error.
Now go.
There we go. That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Kristen. So we just have here listed our top 10 private employers. If you have a microscope, it might be easy to read. Hopefully you can zoom in on your computer if you need to, but you can just see there at a high level, top 5, North Georgia Premium Outlets, Gold Creek Foods, BTD Manufacturing, Walmart, and Kroger. So thank you to all of our employers, not just the large ones, but all of our employers, whether big or small. We seek to recognize and appreciate them in everything that we do from a development perspective. Continuing on to the next slide, you see there that this year for unemployment tracking, we are in January 2.5% unemployment, February 2.4%, March 2.6% of unemployment. Needless to say, what's that? It's amazing in a positive sense that folks are working. It makes for a tight labor market. And I think that puts upward pressure on compensation, which we may see in a variety of forms. But thankfully, those who want to work are finding work in our community. Along those same lines, when we talk about the impact of being fully employed, our wages, as you see there, average weekly wage is $750 in Dawson County. When you compare it to our surrounding counties, we're about in the middle. Forsyth and Hall are substantially higher, but they also have obviously different markets than us currently. Continuing on with the data, the highest paying jobs in Dawson County, 3 of the 5 are in the medical field. I highlight that because the next slide, 4 of the 5 lowest paying jobs in Dawson County are in the food service or retail sector. So when we think about the jobs that we want, quote unquote, in terms of higher paying wages, we have fewer of them. When we think about those paying least, we have more of those. So what that tells us is we have an opportunity to grow with our existing workforce to help them be more successful and earn more wages over time.
That legislature's commissioners included.
I was wondering who was going to call that one out. I figure at this point, y'all are practically volunteering your time as much as y'all are working. So
Yes, we're lower.
you're in the negative from what I imagine.
Make less and short order cook. Sorry.
No, that's the right
It's
points
true.
for sure. So we can't control those who choose to run for elected office. So we can seek to help improve those or provide opportunities for those who work in the private sector at least. Workforce development, we continue with that, and we're going to spend a couple of slides here talking through this. Really, we are looking to build up not just our existing workforce in terms of adults, but also building up the next generation. And thankfully, in partnership with the Board of Education, with the Development Authority, and with the Chamber of Commerce, we've implemented a handful of things that you see here on this slide. The Tiger Threads program is something that if you haven't heard about it already, it's a great program. It's one where essentially professional attire is available to any high school student, any school student who wants to use that and go to an interview. It's almost on a loaning. It's in a loan type format, but it's there and they take donations from the community. Also, when we think about our career and pathway, our collaboration with the middle school and the junior high school, creating career development programs with the College and Career Academy, which is again, another great program in partnership with everyone in this room to see the forward progress that's made in creating those dialogues with everyone who's engaged in our workforce. An interesting thing that is a new word of adulting. If you haven't seen that word, I've seen it a couple of times. It found its way into our presentation here. Adulting is when we act like adults. It's self-evident, but apparently not so much in certain generations of our workforce. And so we actually partnered with the high school to create an adulting day, and with the Board of Education to create an adulting day where we teach things like balancing a checkbook. We teach things like how to tie a tie. We teach things like I don't know that we go to this level, but philosophically, how to change your oil, how to be self-sufficient as you grow. So it's a great program. It's one that we as a development authority in partnership with the Chamber continue to support. We also continue on with the Dawson Discovery Day, which happened in August 2022, which was simply exposure from the private sector leadership team, a variety of folks in the private sector to partnering with teachers, partnering with the Board of Education, and see what a day in the life of our educators is like. And that, again, grounds so many folks in understanding the valuable work that our Board of Education does. And I want to highlight for you current projects. We have a couple that are existing industries that are expanding, one making a $4 million investment, one to be announced. But it's great to see our companies here in the community growing and creating, again, opportunities and making investment in the community. We have a couple of developments on the horizon around the Lumpkin Campground area with about an $8 million investment, and then a new development called Point Grand along 400 North that has a mixed use development that we'll be happy to talk with you about individually if you are interested in learning more about either one of those upcoming projects. One exciting project that I know we've all had exposure to is the Etowah Bluffs project. I will just highlight a few things. There was a community meeting held by the developer on April 12th in response to feedback in partnership with the Planning and Zoning team. The Planning and Zoning Commission did recommend approval, and we are going to be coming before, or they are going to be coming before the board on May 19th for discussion around that feedback and keeping everyone up to speed. This is an exciting project for the Development Authority because we are in close partnership with them to have a carve out of that parcel of land that can be used for commercial and industrial development at no cost to the Development Authority. The actual partial size is in discussion, but it is going to be a substantial enough one that we would be able to align it with our strategic plan of introducing new businesses that are in concert with our target industries. So this is something that we have been actively working long before it was public, as we do with all stakeholders looking to come into the community to either grow or expand. And we are just, not only are we going to be able to benefit from the actual site itself, but we are in partnership very closely. We are partnering very closely with the developers themselves. So they are responding to our feedback as well as feedback from the community. So when we think about partners who are looking to respond to the community and represent the community's interest in development, they've demonstrated very good faith in having those dialogues with everyone along the way. Just a quick update. We continue on with we'll tie back to our workforce development conversation. The Peaks of Dawson is something that with the vision of our former chairman to leverage the Development Authority to execute on this, getting it implemented for workforce development housing is something that we know the cost of housing in our community, and those who work in our community often struggle to find a place to live in our community. And this particular initiative is one that aligns with our objective as a development authority and certainly the community's objective of creating affordable housing for everyone who wants to live in the community. We've completed our 5th draw in that process, and that project continues apace. Another exciting project that the Development Authority has been active with is through the American Rescue Plan, which is obtaining a broadband infrastructure grant that brings $1.3 million of broadband infrastructure into the community at no cost to us. The actual funds from the quote unquote local level are coming through a private group called ETC, so that there's no public cost for the implementation of that broadband infrastructure implementation, along with water and sewer. You can see the shaded area is the project area for the development. Quick update on the Kroger project. This is one that we have talked about for some time, and for a variety of reasons. But again, they continue with the good news story from our perspective, in that their initial commitment was 177 jobs with $23 million of investment in the community. The Development Authority at the time implemented a $25 million bond to fund that project. And as of 2021, Kroger, the Kroger parcel, had invested $33 million in its development, and is averaging 166 jobs. That job number is a little bit off from their commitment, but that's clearly a function of some of the things that we've all been going through. The exciting part with this, not just the fact that the investment itself in Kroger is nearly 10 million above their initial commitment. Everything that's around Kroger springboards off of that development as well. So it's exciting to see that come together.
What year is that bond in for?
Oh man, that's great.
4 or 5.
It's going to be 4 or 5. We're halfway through. We're close to halfway through. If we're not all the way, if we're not halfway through, we're very close to being halfway through. Yeah. Continuing on, just in terms of, oh, I'm sorry, any questions about the Kroger piece? I know that that's just been a long-running conversation. Highlighting here just for awareness, we broke down acreage in Dawson County. As we talk about development and the growth in the community, obviously everyone sees what happens along the 400 corridor. That is a very visible indicator of growth that's coming into the community. But overall, when we think about the acreage that's taken up in terms of allocation for zoning and use, a total of 74% of land or acreage in Dawson County is currently agricultural or conservation. We have, between commercial and residential development, 24 to 25% available acreage to bring new jobs to the community or new residents. And where that becomes important is in this next slide, where we talk about what's the impact to our tax base. Philosophically, strategically, as a community, our goal is to maintain a split of about 60-40, 60% commercial, 40% residential in terms of the tax base. And this is percentage of collections. It's not actual dollars. If we broke out the dollars, we would be there. But in this illustration here, it shows that tax collections currently are being driven by residential use. But we ultimately want to maintain a 60-40 split to maintain a stable tax base over time. When we do the analysis, the value to the community of a residential acre is about $61,000. The residential value of a commercial acre is about $75,000. So when we think about where do we want to put our money, where do we get our most bang for the buck, it comes out of commercial and industrial development. A very exciting announcement is someone who's seated behind me. Hopefully you've had a chance to meet him. If not, you will definitely get a chance to meet him. Kevin Harrod has joined the Chamber of Commerce as Director of Economic Development and is working very closely with the Development Authority, and look forward to working with him and getting to know him more and more. He and I have actually spent quite a bit of time together as we've gone through the selection process. So Kevin, welcome.
Yes.
You will be seeing a lot of Kevin. He comes with a deep, rich background in planning, development, planning, zoning, and economic development. So he's going to be a great resource for the Development Authority, for the Chamber, and we hope as well for everyone in the community. You can see here that he has a number of immediate priorities, a 30, 60, 90-day plan, like all of us think about. The only things that I'll highlight here are the things that I'll highlight here. You'll see the first bullet in 30 days is to meet with all commissioners. His goal is to make sure, just like mine, just like Tony's, just like all of us on the Development Authority, make sure that we're maintaining good working relationships together. And so he'll be reaching out one-on-one to have those conversations and get to know you more if he hasn't already. And then in 60 days, he's going to highlight, I'll highlight that he'll begin working on a plan to diversify the economic development funding structure. That's something that we are making steady progress to. And as we referenced, with Etowah Bluffs and being able to leverage that particular development from a diversity perspective, there's a lot of opportunity for the Development Authority to make baby steps in that direction. And we certainly are working as quickly as we can. And then you can see the priorities for 91 plus days. I'll defer to you to read through those and certainly offer feedback or comment on any of that so that we can make sure that we are aligned. One of the things I wanted to spend a little bit of time on is this final slide that you have before you, slide 19. One of the things that Tony Passarella facilitated for us at the end of last year was a strategic planning retreat for the Development Authority. We set aside time. Gosh, it was 4 to 6 hours, I think. It felt like 20. Is that you're nodding your head that it felt like 20 hours? And we got together. It was a structured conversation to think about ultimately where do we want to go as a board? Where do we want to help support the community from the Development Authority's perspective to ensure that we are thinking about things proactively. We then sat down as follow-up to that and went through Development Authority member by Development Authority member, asking these two questions: who are we and how do we define success? For me, philosophically, I think that's an important question for everyone to be able to answer, particularly in leadership roles like the Development Authority. And so we did what's called a one-word exercise, which I won't take you down that road, but happy to talk with you individually about that. But ultimately, the one-word exercise created a response to the question, who are we? The Development Authority, we are a visionary board of community stakeholders who advocate and market Dawson County for its citizens. When we say visionary, we don't mean that in an egocentric sense. We mean it in a sense that it's our obligation to cast a vision for the community about where we need to go with economic development to ensure that our stakeholders buy into that process and we are supportive of one another. We then answer the question, how do we define success? We define success by creating opportunities for continual progress, producing jobs, and investment in Dawson County. The reason I share that with you, the reason why we share that this evening is that is how we think of our role in the community. We welcome feedback from everyone on this board to ensure that we are aligned, but we want to, in full transparency, share with you that that's how we're thinking about our role in supporting you and supporting the community to create jobs and create investment that ultimately creates opportunities, not just for us, not for those who are in the workforce, but those such as my two boys, 13 and 9, that they'll have an opportunity to grow old here in Dawson County. So. Very personal experience for me. Thank you for the chance to work with you. I'll be here in this role for the next 2 years until Tony, Mandy, or Kevin choose to kick me out. But glad to be working with you again, and I look forward to talking with you as we go forward. Any comments or questions?
Any questions for Brian?
I just want to ask you, and all this is just one, it's all good. And then here I go on something that I hope you don't consider it negative, but the old, what was the name of it? Ryan's or whatever. What was that? That building is there any, seem like nothing can happen there?
There's always a conversation around the Ryan's building. I'm going to look over my shoulder to see if Mandy may have had a conversation with anybody.
Okay.
I know that they've had several tenants look at it, but there's not been really, any action. I mean, we have some great plans for that whole section there to kind of redevelop it, but now that Kevin's here, we can step towards that. But
Does he know where that building is?
it's right next to the office.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's just a little, I want him to know. I just can't understand what that just sits there.
Such a great area.
That's becoming part of our ordinance, a nuisance at some point.
Yeah.
It could be potentially a hazard where we might need to implement some of the teeth that we have behind that new ordinance we created.
It's growing up. It's growing up around it. I noticed it the other day, so.
Attractive nuisance.
I did notice that the old bank had somebody in it though.
Yes.
Both banks, the
Where you,
Davis Engineering, I think, bought the one down.
SunTrust, the old SunTrust
And
building.
then the one here in
SunTrust,
town
yeah.
is some attorneys out of.
next to the post office?
Mhm.
Really?
And the one down at 400,
Yes.
it's got someone in too.
Oh, well, good.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. It's not a criticism or anything. It's just.
Trust me, we see it all the time when we leave.
Any other questions or
I
comments?
wanted to say thank you and thank you to Tony and Mandy and all the board. I mean, y'all are very open and bring us a lot of good information, which is, I think is not only good for us, but the citizens too. see what y'all trying to do and, what y'all want to bring in here, because there's a lot of negativity out there that all we're bringing in is retail and restaurants and y'all, and your slide right there shows what y'all want to bring in.
Yes, sir.
And I just appreciate all y'all.
Thank you.
And it's not always been this way, but it was promised it would change. And so here you come and bring all this information because, it was a problem at one time. So we appreciate this.
Well, and we're obviously, we're happy to do this. I personally enjoy coming and talking with you. If there's anything that is missing from this as we step away, where you'd like us to answer a question, either one-on-one or in a group setting, please offer that feedback to myself or Mandy, and we'll make sure that we present that to this group as well.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Next up, we have another opening presentation, Building Safety Month Proclamation. I'm going to read that. Sharon, come on up there. All right, it says Dawson County Board of Commissioners Building Safety Month Proclamation. Whereas Dawson County is committed to recognizing that its growth and strength depend on the safety and essential role of our homes, buildings, and infrastructure, both in everyday life and when disasters strike. And whereas our confidence in the resilience of these buildings that make up our community is achieved through the devotion of vigilant guardians, building safety and fire prevention officials, architects, engineers, builders, tradespeople, design professionals, laborers, plumbers, electricians, and others in the construction industry who work to ensure the safe construction of buildings. And whereas these modern building codes include safeguards to protect the public from hazards such as snowstorms, tornadoes, wildland fires, floods, and earthquakes. And whereas Building Safety Month is sponsored by the International Code Council to remind the public about the critical role of our community's largely unknown protectors of public safety, our local code officials. And whereas Safety for All, Building Codes in Action, the theme for Building Safety Month 2022, encourages us all to raise awareness about planning for safe and sustainable construction, career opportunities in building safety, understanding disaster mitigation and energy conservation, and creating a safe and abundant water supply for our benefit. And whereas each year in observance of Building Safety Month, people all over the world are asked to consider the commitment to improve building safety, resilience, and economic investment at home and in the community, and to acknowledge the essential service provided to all of us by local and state building departments, fire prevention bureaus, and federal agencies in protecting lives and property. Now, therefore, the Dawson County Board of Commissioners hereby proclaims May 2022 as Building Safety Month. Do I have a motion to accept this proclamation?
So move.
Motion by Commissioner Fawcett. Second by Commissioner Satterfield. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. There we go. And that is approved 4-0. We'll go down and present this. Another picture opportunity.
At this time, I'd like to just recognize staff. First of all, I'd like to thank y'all for you always have our support. Always have our back when we need something. This is Building Safety Month. There's a lot goes into that. Following him up, there's a lot of growth in Dawson County. And there's a lot going into the inspections, into the permitting process. I'd like to thank my staff, my inspectors. They're out there every day. I'd like to thank our brothers and sisters in the fire marshal's office. They are right there on the commercial stuff in, day out. So it takes a team to support this. And I appreciate y'all making the proclamation, and just it means a lot to us to support this.
Thank you.
Come on, guys.
Well, he's gonna arrest you if you don't. Would at this time, I'd ask everyone to please stand for invocation and pledge. Would bow your heads. Our dear gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this another day and for the many blessings of life. We ask that you give us knowledge and wisdom to carry out the business of this county. Anything we accomplish, we'll give you the honor and glory in Christ's name. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Are there any announcements? Okay, we'll move on to approval of minutes. First up, we have the minutes of work session held on April 21st, 2022. Any additions or deletions? Motions.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Dooley,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Gaines. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. They're approved 4-0. Next, we have the minutes of the voting session held on April 21st, 2022. Any additions or deletions? Motions.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Fawcett,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Satterfield. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. Those are approved 4-0. Next up, we have the approval of the agenda. I do have 4 changes to the agenda. And those 4 changes are additions under new business, numbers 3 through 6. First being a request to apply for 2022 Community Oriented Policing Services. You heard that earlier today from Greg Rowan. Number 4, request to accept FY 2022 Georgia Trauma Commission EMS Trauma Related Equipment Grant. Chief Thompson brought that. Number 5, request for approval of 401A retirement plan reinstatement. Same thing that we're currently doing, just be a signature change there. And number 6, request to write off old outstanding ambulance accounts from 2014 through 2017. And Miss Vicky brought that earlier as well. I'll entertain a motion with those 4 changes to the agenda.
Motion to approve with the changes presented.
Motion by Commissioner Dooley,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Fawcett. Discussion.
Donovan's wasn't a move forward, was it on the bus? I had written down move, but.
No. Any other discussion? Hearing none, please vote. And the agenda is approved 4-0 with those changes. No one signed up for public comment in this section.
No, sir.
We'll move on to new business. First up, consideration to name community room at Fire Station number 8. Commissioner Satterfield brought that up with us 2 weeks ago. We want to name that room after Commissioner Sharon Fawcett for all of the outstanding work she has done in her district over not just the past 8 years, but her entire life. She has lived in that district and has been a person of integrity and stood up for those people and wanted to make sure that they were treated as fairly as everyone else. And she has done an outstanding job. And so that is up for your consideration to name the community room after Commissioner Sharon Fawcett. Any other information needed? Motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to name the community room at Fire Station 8 after Sharon Fawcett and name it Sharon Fawcett Community Room.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Satterfield, seconded by Commissioner Gaines. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 3 with 1 abstention.
Thank you.
So now we'll have to plan for that.
I've already talked to the fire chief. I've been talking to him.
You mean you're talking Danny Thompson about them?
Well, you got to include her.
This
so we
is
get all the
dangerous.
stuff in it. All the stuff. There you go.
No.
Next up. Yeah. Next up, we have consideration of board appointments. We can take both these together if that's what you would like, or we can do them individually. Well, let's take them together if it's all right with y'all. First one being Long Range Planning Committee, Emily Bagwell replacing Joe Brewer, and the Planning Commission District 2 alternate Russ Chambers appointment. His term be May 2022 through December 2022. Any other information needed? Motions.
Make a motion to approve both appointments.
Motion by Commissioner Gaines,
Second.
Second by Commissioner Dooley. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 4-0. We'll move on to number 3, request to apply for 2022 Community Oriented Policing Services Grant. That was for 4 personnel from the sheriff's office. That will be adding 1 per shift to add an extra patrolman, and it maximum of 125,000 per officer. That includes salary and benefit. It's a 75-25 matching grant. Any other information needed? Motions.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Fawcett, seconded
Second.
by Commissioner Dooley. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 4-0. Next, we have request to accept FY 2022 Georgia Trauma Commission EMS Trauma Related Equipment Grant. Chief Thompson provided that. They'll use that money to buy 3 laptops for their people. And this comes from the super speeder fines and stuff. So any other information needed? Motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Satterfield,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Gaines. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 4-0. Next up, we have requests for approval of 401A retirement plan reinstatement, something that we currently already do. It's just a update that's required. Any other information needed? Motions.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Gaines,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Dooley. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that's approved 4-0. And finally, we have request to write off old outstanding ambulance accounts from 2014 to 2017. That was in the neighborhood of 400 and something $1,000. They have tried to do all they could to collect that, and we're beyond the time. So any other information needed? Motion.
Motion to approve the write-off.
Motion by Commissioner Dooley,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Satterfield. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 4-0. We do have need to go into executive session, potential litigation. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
So move.
Motion by Commissioner Fawcett,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Gaines. Discussion.
Any vote after?
No vote coming out of it, Ms. Davis?
She's not sure.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I.
Okay.
Possibility.
That's what I was reading.
Possibility of a vote. Okay. So have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, please vote. And that's approved 4-0 to go into executive session. We'll take a couple of minutes, then we'll meet back in executive session. Thank you for your attendance, both with us and online. And with that, we are adjourned.